call to order the City of Murfreesboro Board of Zoning Appeals regular meeting for June 24th, 2026. The first item on our agenda is a determination of a quorum, and with 4 of the 5 board members present, we do have a quorum today. Next item is the public comments section. Has anyone reached out to staff wishing to speak before the meeting starts?
No, sir.
No, okay. Next, we'll move to the consideration of the minutes from our last meeting, which was a regular meeting on May 27th, 2026. Those minutes were provided to the board members. Are there any changes necessary to those? And if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the minutes. Second.
Motion a second. Any further discussion? If you'll call the roll for us.
Mr. Batchelor?
Aye.
Mr. Kimberly?
Aye.
Mr. Tibbs?
Aye.
Chair Young?
Aye. All right, so the minutes will stand as written. Next, we'll move to new business. First item is a special use permit, application Z26028 by Mr. Michael Black of Blackstone Construction, representing Sally Sites, requesting a special use permit in order to construct and establish an accessory apartment. This is for property in a single-family residential RS-15 zone, and the property is located at 1715 Spiroff Drive. Mr. Anthony, if you'd review that application for us.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Chair Young and members of the Board of Zoning Appeals. As you said, this is for 1715 Spiroff Drive, requesting a special use permit to construct and establish an accessory apartment. The applicant, Sally Sites, is requesting a special use permit to construct and establish an accessory apartment at 1715 Spiroff Drive. The lot is currently vacant, and the applicant desires to build a new single-family dwelling with an attached accessory apartment. The accessory apartment will be occupied by the applicant's aging parent. The accessory apartment is in total 1,026 square feet and is located within the principal structure, connected by a mudroom shared by both the principal dwelling and the accessory apartment. The property is zoned RS-15 is in the Riverview Cove single-family residential subdivision. As shown in the aerial photo, the accessory apartment will be located in the right side of the principal structure. The proposed floor area of the accessory apartment is 1,026 square feet. It includes a kitchen, living room, 2 bathrooms, 1 bedroom, a laundry room, and a closet. The accessory apartment has 1 exterior entrance on the rear of the house, and it will be integrated into the principal structure and will not be noticeable from the outside. The total floor area based on the city's definition of floor area would actually be 696 square feet, making it be in compliance with the 700 square feet limitation. However, the overall area of the apartment does exceed that 700 square feet. An application for an accessory apartment at 1711 Spiroff Drive, which is the neighboring property, was approved at the March 2026 BZA meeting, and it was under these similar circumstances of the gross area exceeded that 700, but based on the city's definition of floor area, it was considered to be less than the 700. And so if we go to the table here, at 696 square feet, it would meet the maximum floor area requirement. The home would also meet the maximum building height requirement and the setback requirements. Staff believes that the accessory apartment does meet all of these standards of general applicability, and going through the additional standards for accessory apartments, Standard 1, only 1 accessory apartment shall be allowed upon a lot zoned for single-family purposes. The applicant has confirmed that only 1 accessory apartment will be on the lot. Standard 2, except for bona fide temporary absences, the owner of the residence or lot upon or in which the accessory unit is created shall occupy at least one of the dwelling units on the premises, and members of the family or their invited guests shall occupy the other dwelling unit. The applicant will live in the primary dwelling unit and their parent will live in the accessory dwelling unit. Standard 3, the accessory apartment shall be designed so that to the degree reasonably feasible, the appearance of the building remains that of a 1-family residence. Staff believes that this will be met as the accessory apartment is built within the primary residence. Standard 4, if attached to or located within the principal structure, the accessory apartment shall be designed and constructed to allow it to be part of the principal structure at such time as the use of the accessory apartment discontinues or approval of the special permit lapses. Again, the proposed accessory apartment is located within the principal structure, and so we feel like that standard has been met. Standard 5, the design and size of the accessory apartment shall conform to all applicable standards in the health, building, and other codes. We believe that that standard has been met. Standard 6, the accessory apartment shall not exceed 700 square feet of floor area. So again, based on the city's definition of total floor area, that standard would have been met. But of course, the gross area does exceed that 700. We were able to remove, based on the city's definition of floor area, the laundry room and the closets from that 1,026, as well as hallways, I believe.
And I just did want to add, that 1,026 square feet also includes a craft room.
Yes.
That's for the property owner, and it's a part of the footprint of the accessory apartment, which is attached to the house, but the craft room is not for the use of the resident of the accessory apartment. It's for Ms. Seitz's use. And Mr. Anthony will detail a condition that we feel solidifies that as not part of the accessory apartment.
Standard 7, the BZA may condition approval upon the special use permit lapsing at such time as the ownership of the property is transferred. Staff recommends that the BZA condition approval on the recording of a restriction on use of land, which would be prepared by the city attorney, which would require that the accessory apartment only be occupied by a family member or an invited guest and cannot in any circumstances be used as a rental unit. And Standard 8, the BZA may require additional standards in order to assure the compatibility of the proposed use with adjoining properties and to maintain the integrity of the single-family zoning district, which the applicant understands. I want to go to the floor plan really quick to show what Matthew was talking about. Okay. So this area would be the accessory apartment starting at the shared mudroom all the way up to the craft room. That would be the total area of the floor part of the accessory apartment. Of course, the walk-in closet, some of these other smaller closets, the shared mudroom itself, the laundry room, and then ultimately the craft room based on one of our conditions that we recommend were able to be taken out. And so that's how we got that 696 square feet number. So staff recommends approval of the special use permit based on the request meeting the minimum development standards of the ordinance to allow for a 1,026 square foot accessory apartment as presented in the application documents and with the following conditions. The owner of the property for this accessory apartment unit shall occupy at least one of the dwelling units on the premises, and members of the family or their invited guests shall occupy the other dwelling unit. In no event shall either of the units be used as a rental unit to non-family members. Condition 2, prior to applying for building permits, the applicant shall complete and record the restriction on use of land document prepared by the city attorney, which shall limit the use of the accessory apartment to only what is allowed by the zoning ordinance. Standard 3, separate utility meters or service connections, including but not limited to electricity, gas, water, or sewer, shall not be installed or requested for the accessory apartment. Condition 4, a separate mailbox or mail receptacle shall not be installed or designated for the accessory apartment, nor will the accessory apartment be assigned a separate address. Condition 5, the applicant shall obtain all necessary permits with the Building and Codes Department and shall comply with all code requirements. And this condition 6, the applicant will submit modified plans showing a wall separating the ADU from the craft room. That's the condition that made us feel comfortable excluding the craft room square footage. I would also add that Mr. Black has already submitted those plans. It was just after the publication of the agenda, so we weren't able to include it within the agenda, but he has already submitted those plans showing a wall separating the craft room from the accessory apartment. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer, and the applicant as well as Mr. Black are here.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony. Any questions for?
So, yes, so, but and essentially, as you look at the original plan, craft room also has the same design as a bedroom, a closet, and also has access to a toilet, which would almost make it that way, in bath, which would make it look like a Jack and Jill's design. You're telling me that there's going to be a wall that seals off that bedroom, that bath?
Mr. Anthony, I'll take that one. Mr. Tips, so if you see on the screen that Mr. Anthony just put up, see there was a door connecting the craft room to the main living area of the accessory apartment, and it does have a closet in it, as you can see, the craft room does. And so what we suggested to Mr. Black and Ms. Seitz was where that door is located, just continue the wall and remove that door. The bathroom having access, or the craft room also having access to the bathroom, that didn't bother us as much, just because we didn't feel it was unreasonable for the occupant of the craft room to have access to a bathroom. But other than that, the only access to the craft room would be from the porch. So like the porch and patio, the applicant, the owner of the home, Ms. Seitz, could exit the back of her home, cross her patio, and then go in through the door to the craft room from the exterior of the house. And so while there still would be access from the craft room to the rest of the accessory apartment via the bathroom, to us, we didn't feel that made it part of the accessory apartment, that was enough of a separation to where we felt comfortable excluding it from the accessory apartment.
And I have a very elementary question, just based on being newer to this position. If this home has not been built yet, to me, if this appears to be, it appears to be very well connected to the home, why would this need the additional approval now? Is it just because of a change of plans where they received prior clearance, or what is it that requires? Because I could also just view this as part of the house build, but if you're building on a lot.
It's because it has all of the elements of a separate dwelling unit. It has the separate kitchen, it has bathroom, living space, everything that would allow it to stand alone as a separate dwelling unit. So, and while some houses, may have a second kitchen, especially because there's no, other than the shared mudroom, it's pretty much not connected to the rest of the house. And so you could look at it as a duplex. And so because it has all the elements of a separate dwelling unit. And so that's why it has to come to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a special use permit, because it could stand alone as a separate dwelling unit, and it's in a single-family residential zone. And so we have this process as a protection for single-family residential zones that protect the integrity of the single-family residential zone instead of allowing a two-family residential use there.
Didn't we just approve in May another house with an ADU like this?
Yes.
That, again, it's an attached ADU.
Right next door to this one.
That's
Well,
Spiro?
no.
No, this was on Battleground and
Yeah.
Riverview.
Okay, yeah.
That was.
I didn't recall the one on Spiro.
Yes, that was, yeah,
One connected by the breezeway, I believe.
yes.
But it's becoming prevalent now that we're getting a lot of applications for
We are.
ADUs, whether they're attached or detached. So because it is not detached, we're allowing this exception to be greater than 700 square feet.
No.
Well, I mean, we've done that in the other two applications,
Yeah.
over 700 square feet.
It's not technically an exception, because we're using the language that's in our zoning ordinance. The one on Battleground, it was an exception as a reasonable accommodation to the
ADA.
Americans with Disabilities Act and the Fair Housing Act. But this one and the one on next door on Spearoff, it's not an exception. We are actually using the plain language of the zoning ordinance to come up with the floor area of the accessory apartment as it's defined in our zoning ordinance. It's easier. It's always easier when the entire accessory apartment is less than 700 square feet of floor area, and we don't have to do the math to try to see what does and does not qualify as floor area. But I think we feel that because our zoning ordinance defines floor area a certain way, that it's up to us to make sure that we apply it in the way that it's written in our zoning ordinance.
Does the developer of this neighborhood, I know you mentioned protecting the integrity, and that makes perfect sense for just some hypothetical neighborhood where you want to have consistency in how these homes are done. From my understanding, this neighborhood is still under development, so does the developer of this neighborhood have any position on whether or not there have been multiple ADUs that are being granted within the neighborhood they're developing? Does that make sense? I don't know if that's someone who's communicated with by the city or if that input is taken.
It does make sense. I have not, Old South is the developer of the neighborhood. I have not had any conversation with representatives from Old South. And I don't know if Mr. Black or Ms. Seitz have had any conversation with them about it. I'm assuming there's probably a architectural review committee, which these plans have to go through before you can even apply for a permit. Mr. Black, would you mind coming to the podium?
And I did notice in here, it does say that all the restrictions and covenants that are related to this neighborhood have been complied with. So I'm not trying to make any type of assertion they've not been. I'm just curious about that from the neighborhood's perspective.
Yeah, Mr. Black, can you go over the process that you went through with the homeowners or with the architectural review committee?
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
Old
Yes,
South.
yes, sir. He's the contractor, and Ms. Seitz is the
Michael Black.
future homeowner.
I've been building here for about 20 years, and I'm the builder. Mrs. Seitz is the homeowner. So basically, Old South Development is doing the actual, roughing end of the neighborhood and the paving and all that kind of stuff. John Jones is really the one that you deal with, and I got with John pretty early on in this process, and we've already been through the architectural review, and he's like, you can't even tell. I mean, it looks like a single-family home, sorry. And so, yes, we've been through that process. We've been approved by the Architectural Review Committee, which they have a separate committee, but ultimately, he has to look at it as well. And he's been satisfied with everything we've presented.
Thanks, sir. Any further questions for Mr. Black or the applicant?
I guess more procedural. So we obviously have the restrictions that we've seen, the same language over and over again, but do we have it within our leeway to approve either this or a different one that the plan for the ADU exceeds the 700 square foot, or is that prohibited?
I think one instance where that could be done is what happened last month.
Outside of the
Yeah.
reasonable accommodation.
So what we tell people when they have an accessory apartment that exceeds 700 square feet of floor area as it's defined in our zoning ordinance, we will tell them that there's no way the board can approve it because it's a very black and white standard, and if you're over 700 square feet, the board can't say that it meets all the standards. So if it's over 700 square feet, we won't even let it get to you. We will tell them there's no way the board can approve it.
Thank you.
The only way that it could be approved would be with the variance, but it's hard to even envision how a variance could be granted that would allow an accessory apartment that was greater than 700 square feet, because it wouldn't be based on the unique features of the land and the other requirements of a variance. And so the only other way to have that approved would be to actually change the zoning ordinance.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for that response. The envisioning the exterior helps me understand the impact on the rest of the neighborhood, because as you noted, I can imagine it looks like any other
Absolutely.
residents in the neighborhood.
Absolutely. I mean, I've built, I don't know, I guess 4 or 5 in there so far, and I mean, it's right in line with everything else that's been put in there.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Well, I guess it's kind of related to this question, this application, but others that may come up and that have already risen. Is there any, I guess, verifications, whatever, as far as we're doing it for an elderly relative? That's kind of been the standard, right?
It doesn't necessarily have to be elderly. It could be for any family member, but it does have to be a family member.
Condition.
I believe that's correct, yeah. So if someone wanted to do an accessory apartment for their college-age, child to live there, I think they'd be able to do that.
I think the age and all that would probably come in mostly if we were looking for like ADAs.
Correct.
If there'd be information related to the disabilities, things of that nature, I would imagine.
Correct, yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Any further questions for staff or The applicant? If not, well, we'll conduct a public hearing. Is there anyone present wishing to speak for or against this application? If so, if you'd come forward and give us your name and address and provide us any comments you may have. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and open the floor for any further discussion or a motion.
I move to approve the application as submitted to the staff comments that were added to it.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, if you'll call the roll for us.
Mr. Batchelor?
Aye.
Mr. Kimberly?
Aye.
Mr. Tips?
Aye.
Chair Young?
Aye. All right, that application has been approved. Appreciate your time. Next application, Z26024 by Mr. Colt James for B&B Fireworks, requesting a special use permit in order to operate a temporary outdoor vending establishment, in this case seasonal fireworks sales, in a commercial highway zone. This is for property located at 2042 through 2050 Las Casas Pike. Mr. Shackelford Roel, if you'll review that for us.
Thank you, Chair Young. Good afternoon, Board. As mentioned, this application is for a fireworks application. It is for, or is at a Kroger located, or excuse me, at a Kroger located along North Rutherford. North Rutherford Boulevard in Las Casas Pike. The proposed tent is located in the existing Kroger grocery space. We believe this will have no impact on existing tenant spaces. Also located on the site is a Burger King, a McDonald's, a car wash, and a tire store.
Mr. Shackelford-Rowell, would you mind paging down to the map that you have in your staff report?
All right, thank you.
Oh, I think you had it just a moment ago. Here we go. Thank you, sir.
No worries. As mentioned, this is in a commercially zoned center. It shares with a McDonald's, a Burger King, and a car wash. The tent will be situated in the southern portion of the lot, closer to North Rutherford Boulevard and west of Las Casas Pike. The hours of operation will be from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., which is consistent with our other fireworks applications. The applicant has provided a letter of intent as well as a site plan demonstrating compliance with our special use permit standards as well as our temporary vendor standards. The tent will be approximately 30 by 50 feet and has been certified with inspection. As specified in the applicant's letter, trash will be removed daily, and the tent is located will be located approximately 250 feet from a fire hydrant and is over 200 feet from the closest fuel station, as well as 250 feet from any location that offers on-site alcohol consumption. And the application was accompanied by the property owner, Kroger, granting permission for this fireworks tents. I'm going to briefly read our general applicability standards and show how this application complies with it. The first standard, the proposed building will not have any substantial or undue adverse effect on adjacent properties, as well as the character of the neighborhood, traffic conditions, and utilities. Based on the site plan that was submitted, we believe that none of those things will be impacted, except for parking, which 20 spaces will be taken with the tent as well as the generator and the porta potty. But given the amount of parking that's on site, we don't believe that this will exceed 25% of the available parking, which is consistent with our standards. Additionally, general applicability standard number 2, the proposed building will not be constructed or arranged in a way that will not be compatible with the immediate vicinity as well as interfere with the development of adjacent properties. As mentioned, this is going to be located in the parking spaces, not the parking aisle, so we believe traffic will be not impacted by this. Parking will be slightly impacted, but not in any way that's significant. Standard number 3, the proposed buildings will be used and served adequately by public facilities, highways, streets, drainage, structures, etc. All services provided are already on site, and there are no apparent conflicts with utilities. Standard number 4, the proposed building will be used in a way that will cause no destruction or loss of any feature determined by the BZA to be significant, including natural, scenic, and historic importance. Based on an application in the site plan, we do not believe that there will be anything negatively impacted, as mentioned in that standard. The proposed building complies with the additional standards on the particular provision of this section authorizing such use. Yes, by complying with our temporary standards as well as our fire standards, we believe that there will be no negative impacts in that category. I can go over the temporary standards, but to save on time, they submitted a site plan that shows its distance relative to fuel stations, how many parking spaces it will take up, as well as the dimensions of the tent. And based on the application, we believe that it is compliant with our temporary standards as well as our fireworks standards. Staff recommends this project be approved per the following recommendations. The tent shall be located in the parking lot as depicted on the aerial photo and the site plan. The fireworks tent shall meet all minimum building setbacks. I can scroll down to the site plan. That way you can see what I see. This is a site plan that shows its distance relative to potential hazards. Staff condition number 2, the fireworks tent shall meet minimum building setbacks for the CH zoning district. And condition number 3, if stakes are to be used, which the applicant expressed that they won't be using, Tennessee One Call must be notified and show that there are no existing conflicts with the underground utilities. I'm going to open the floor up for questions.
I have a question.
Okay.
How many fireworks stands can we approve for a certain area? Because you can pick up a rock and throw it from this location across the street and hit one.
We have no limit and no separation requirements from fireworks stand to fireworks stand. So what one of the vendors told me earlier this year was that you're seeing it and kind of a bump in them because of the 250th anniversary. So I think that they're banking on that as a way to make more money this year than in other years. So I think this year, and Ms. Fulgham, correct me if I'm wrong, I think if these 4 are approved today, I think we'll have 19, which I think in my time working for the city, that's the most we've ever had. But I hope that answers your question.
While there are no limitations on the amount we can take, because these have to be in commercially zoned areas, there are usually other things that prohibit more than we've received this year, like the alcohol requirement.
Thank you. Any further questions for staff?
So, Mr. Tips, you've got plenty of tents to choose from this year.
Yeah, they're very close to my house.
All right, no further questions. Mr. James, anything you'd like to add to the application?
And that's actually, Mr. James was unable to be here. That's
Okay.
Mr. Eduardo Palares, Mr.
Okay.
James' colleague.
Sorry about that. Anything you'd like to add in addition to what the staff provided us? No, sir. Okay. All right, with no further questions for staff or the applicant, we'll move on to the public hearing. Is there anyone present wishing to speak for or against this application, if you'd come forward? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and open the floor for any further discussion or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve pending staff comments.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If you'd call the roll for us.
Mr. Batchelor?
Aye.
Mr. Kimberly?
Aye.
Mr. Tips?
Aye.
Chair Young?
Aye. All right, that application's been approved. Next, we'll move to application Z26025, also by B&B Fireworks, requesting a special use permit in order to operate a temporary outdoor vending establishment, again, seasonal fireworks, in a commercial highway zone, and this is for property located at 2325 Memorial Boulevard. Ms. Gilliland, if you'll review that for us.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Young. Good afternoon, Board. For this next item on the agenda, applicant Colt James, on behalf of Southern Boom Fireworks, is requesting a temporary fireworks sales tent for the 4th of July selling season located at 2325 Memorial Boulevard. The site is zoned CH and is currently occupied by the retail sales tenant Kroger. This site has been used by a different fireworks vendor previously starting in 2023, but this is the first time for this new applicant. The applicant has proposed a 20 by 60 foot tent to be weighed down with water barrels indicated by the blue rectangle on the site plan. The site plan you see before you does meet all of the special use permit standards, both general and specific for the temporary fireworks stand, including being a maximum 500 feet from any fire hydrants at approximately 115 feet, a minimum of 200 feet from any fuel source at approximately 206 feet from the gas station to the northeast, and a minimum 250 feet from any on-site consumption of alcohol at approximately 320 feet from a couple of bars to the northwest. The tent also falls well within the 42-foot setback required by CH zoning at approximately 55 feet from the property line on Iron Gate Boulevard. On site, there will be a generator and a portable restroom in use. Solid waste is to be collected twice a day by a designated employee, and there will be a security vehicle on site 24/7. The applicant has also acknowledged that they will only operate within the prescribed selling season of June 28th to July 5th, and they will not be set up outside of the period of June 22nd to July 10th. If you look at the site plan before you, you will see that the tent is to be situated near the rear of the Kroger parking lot. No drive aisles are to be blocked. There is sufficient parking shared between the two uses, and there are established ingress and egress points both for the drive aisles and Iron Gate Boulevard. In addition to the site plan, the applicant has provided a lease agreement with Kroger, a certificate of fire resistance for the tent, and an acknowledgement of all of the applicable standards for this special use permit. Staff recommends approval of this special use permit subject to the following conditions. The tent shall be located in the area as shown on the aerial photo or site plan submitted with this application. The fireworks tent shall meet all minimum building setback requirements for the CH zoning district, and if stakes are to be used to secure the tent, then prior to the placement of the tent, the applicant shall be responsible for contacting Tennessee One Call to have any existing underground utilities located. A representative from Southern Boom Fireworks is here today, and I will now open the floor for questions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff at this point?
Yeah, question for, when you say that there's sufficient parking for both uses, so if not for this fireworks tent, or including this fireworks tent, if you combined both uses, are we saying that, let me back up, I guess. So when the Kroger was built, it was sized, I'm assuming the parking lot was sized appropriate to the square footage of the Kroger. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And so are you saying that there's overage enough to then also add a fireworks tent, or are you saying that staff believes that it's sufficient parking temporarily to displace?
If I recall from another Kroger application for a new Kroger on Memorial, that came up last month, I think, they discussed their internal corporate standards for parking requirements, and I believe that they are pretty significantly in excess of our minimum parking standards. So Kroger itself wants a larger parking lot than we require necessarily. I'm not sure the exact numbers here, but that was my recollection from what the Kroger representatives stated last month.
Yeah, Mr. Tilley, I agree. As far as new Kroger locations, they have a higher parking standard than we do. For this one, I don't know. I don't know that we researched to what extent they had surplus parking when they had their original site plan approved a number of years ago. Our standard is that for fireworks tents, the tent may not take up more than 25% of the total parking available on site. And so this one obviously does not take up more than 25%. However, I think that if the board feels that, that this will create a parking deficit on-site, that's certainly a valid point to discuss. But as far as our standard, it's been, the standard that's in the zoning ordinance, it has been met. And I think that there will likely be some kind of the joint use of the property. You know, there will be people who come to shop at the fireworks tent that will also shop at Kroger, people that will come to shop at Kroger that will also shop at the fireworks tent. So there's going to be kind of a dual use of the parking lot for both uses. But does that answer your question, Mr. Batchelor?
Yeah, I guess that phrasing just implied that staff has already done the calculation to say that as the parking lot was originally designed, it was not just sufficient for the needs of Kroger based on the square footage, it actually exceeded it, so that if we removed 10 spaces, for example, it still exceeded it. That's implied, that's not actually calculated.
Right, I don't think that we've calculated that. I think as far as it meeting the standard, it meets the standard for fireworks, that it not take up more than 25% of the parking. But I don't think that we got that deep into the calculations to be able to make that statement.
Okay. I guess a suggestion for future evaluations, I know next year will be the 251st anniversary, so we won't see a lot of these, but it'd be helpful because when we're looking at, like, when we had the previous applications, they were much larger parking spaces, including the application immediately preceding this one. And so it would be more helpful. As we all say, this is my Kroger, I park in that area, and I know that, on the 4th of July, it is, you'd be parking somewhere else. And so I would say, in personal experience, no, that the parking, that removing more parking spaces from this area, it would seem that the Kroger on its own would then not meet the parking standard. But since nobody's done that research, that's just speculation.
Any further questions for staff? Anything the applicant would like to add to this one? Okay. I don't think so. So next we'll move to the public hearing on this location. Is there anyone present wishing to speak for or against this application if you come forward? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and open the floor for any further discussion or motion.
I'll move to approve this, including the board recommendations, or the staff recommendations.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, if you'll call the roll for us.
Mr. Batchelor?
Aye.
Mr. Kimberly?
Aye.
Mr. Tips?
Aye.
Chair Young?
Aye. All right, so that application's been approved. We'll move to the next application for B&B Fireworks, application Z26026 for B&B Fireworks, requesting a special use permit in order to operate a temporary outdoor vending establishment, again, seasonal fireworks sales, in a commercial highway zone, and this is for property located at 2910 to 2946 South Church Street.
Chair Young, I'm going to take that one. Mr. Robeson had an ill family member, so I'm going to take that one. So if the cable department could put up my screen, I would appreciate it. And while they're doing that, Chair Young, I know you're going to miss fireworks season.
This is a throwback to when we used to see them every time, every period. So,
we have two more that I will present. Next one is at the Kroger on South Church Street, the Innsbrook Kroger. You can see the map on the screen before you, and Mr. Robeson has the area text box pointed to the location on site where the proposed tent will be located. This Kroger is located at the intersection of South Church Street and Innsbrook Boulevard. On this particular lot, there is the Kroger, and there is also a number of adjacent retail and restaurant tenant spaces. And I think back in the day, there was even a Blockbuster on this. But so the applicant, Southern Boom Fireworks, is wishing to put a fireworks tent on this property. It's the area in blue, and you'll see that they're proposing a 30 by 50 tent. Mr. Robeson did check the distance requirements for on-site alcohol consumption. fuel pumps. The fuel pumps for Kroger are all the way at the south end of the site, adjacent to Innsbruck Boulevard, and this tent is to the north of that. And also the distance to a fire hydrant, and it meets all of those requirements. It does take up fewer than 25% of the parking spaces on site. However, like with the last one, we have not done the parking calculations for the development other than that. We feel that this site meets the standards of general applicability and also complies with the standards specific to fireworks sales. And we would recommend approval subject to the same 3 conditions. I won't read them again since Mr. Shackelford-Rowell and Ms. Gilliland read them so eloquently. So if you have any questions before or after the public hearing, I will be happy to do my best to answer them in Mr. Robeson's stead.
Thank you, Matthew. Any questions for staff or the applicant on this location? All right, hearing none, we'll hold the public hearing. Is there anyone present wishing to speak for or against this application? If you'd come forward. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and open the floor for any further discussion or motion.
I move for approval of the application subject to the conditions by staff.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, if you'll call the roll for us.
Mr. Batchelor?
Aye.
Mr. Kimberly?
Aye.
Mr. Tips?
Aye.
Chair Young?
Aye. All right, so that application's been approved. And then our final application today, application Z26027 by B&B Fireworks, requesting a special use permit in order to operate a temporary outdoor vending establishment, seasonal fireworks sales, in a commercial highway zone. And this time, the property is located at 2441 to 2449 Old Fort Parkway. Matthew, if you'd review that one.
Yes, sir, Chairman Young. This is our final public hearing for the day. It's a special use permit for seasonal fireworks sales at the Kroger along Old Fort Parkway and Cason Lane. You'll see it's on the west side of Cason Lane and along the south side of Old Fort Parkway. As with the last application, the area box on this map shows the approximate location of where the tent will be located. Mr. Robeson reviewed this application, and it does meet all of the dimension requirements, including from the fuel station, which you see is line E, and also to any locations that have on-site consumption of alcohol, and it meets the maximum distance from a fire hydrant as well. Trash will be handled daily, and there will be a portable toilet on site and a generator as well. The applicant understands all of the standards that he must comply with, and we feel that this application complies with both the standards of general applicability and the specific standards for fireworks sales. And we would recommend approval subject to the same 3 conditions that the previous 3 applications were subject to. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff or the applicant on this one? All right, hearing none. Anything you'd like to add? Last chance.
I would just like to say that usually we're a little, our applications are more timely.
Okay.
It's out of our control that got us all the way to this.
Okay.
I'd like to appreciate, just say I appreciate everybody's time.
All right. Thanks, sir. This time we'll conduct a public hearing on this application. Is there anyone present wishing to speak to this application? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and open the floor for any further discussion or motion.
Move to approve this, subject to staff recommendations.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, if you'll call the roll for us.
Mr. Batchelor?
Aye.
Mr. Kimberly?
Aye.
Mr. Tips?
Aye.
Chair Young?
Aye. Thank you. That application's been approved. Appreciate everybody's time on those today. Next item, staff reports and other business. Looks like a calendar issue.
And I emailed everybody about this. And first of all, I say it's a great thing for you Chairman Young to be voting on a meeting that you're not even going to be here.
I can be swayed this time.
So I challenge you not to abstain on this vote. As you know, Chairman Young will be stepping down after this month. First of all, before we vote on this, I do want to say a public, heartfelt congratulations congratulations also, but a heartfelt thank you from the city to Chairman Young for his many years, I believe 22, if I'm not mistaken. I think he started on the board in 2004, and that is over 2 decades of dedicated service. You have guided this board with a steady hand, ably stepping in as chair for many years after serving as vice chair, and filling John Rogers' shoes when he left the board. And you've done an excellent job guiding this board with a very even-keeled, level-headed demeanor, and so always sound reasoning, looking for the different sides of all the applications. And I know you've sat through some long public hearings, and so now you'll get your 4th Wednesday afternoons back every month.
That's right.
But we really appreciate your service, your many, many years of service.
Well, thank you, Matthew. Appreciate it. I've enjoyed doing it, and thank you. Not necessary. Thank you.
I concur. I've had the opportunity to work with him we're trying to recount, and I know it's been at least 9 or 10 years, so I came on after John Rogers left. So, but I really enjoyed working with him, and he's a man of integrity.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you. That's nice. Appreciate it. I've enjoyed doing it, and I knew nothing what I was getting into when I started, and learned a lot about what it's like from the city side of things and how to work through issues. So it's been educational, and appreciate the support and working with everybody. So
absolutely, absolutely. We wish you well in your.
Thank you. Hope to see everybody around.
Yeah. So the last item that we have on today's agenda is for an amendment to the calendar. I emailed all of you about this. Mayor McFarland is working diligently to fill the 5th spot, to fill Mr. Young's spot on the board. Still has not found a replacement. But we are requesting that you amend the calendar for next month to move the meeting to the 5th Wednesday, which would be July the 29th. I believe, based on all of your responses, that you will be available at that meeting. Mr. Kimberly, I think that's your birthday.
It is. Nowhere I'd rather be. Here in court. Great.
Yeah.
Well, we're happy to share it with you. So if we could move that to that meeting, that will give us maybe an extra council meeting or two to get someone appointed. And then also we'll have hopefully all 5 members here that day, so that when we're voting on a new chair, we'll have the entire board to make that decision. So unless there's an objection, we would request a motion to amend the calendar to move the July meeting to July the 29th.
I move that we change the date of the July meeting to July 29th.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? If you call the roll for us.
Mr. Batchelor?
Aye.
Mr. Kimberly?
Aye.
Mr. Tips?
Aye.
Chair Young?
Aye. All right. So the calendar has been changed for those that are involved. All right. If there's no other business, we will adjourn. Thanks, everyone.